I first came to Gold Creek in October of 2017. I'd been in quite a valley in my life, and that kind of was the breaking point. I had a very hard weekend coming that I knew I needed to get through, and I couldn't get through it alone. I had been married for almost 10 years, and my husband and I have 4 children together, and kind of reached a point in our marriage where neither of us were happy, and we were looking at possibly the end of our marriage. I've spent so many days being anxious, not knowing what my future was going to hold. I had our whole lives planned. I'm probably the only person that could tell you what 80 years in the future looks like. Like, I actually would think about being a grandma. I would think about Christmases with my grandchildren. It was all planned out. I knew 5 years from now where we were going to be on vacation. I am a planner, I am a doer, I am a controller. And this was something I couldn't control. A few months later, it was June 12th, I know the day exactly, June 12th, I had this sense of peace come over me, and I don't know why. It's kind of freeing letting go of control, right? I didn't know what it meant to release. I've heard Pastor Dan say a lot of times, turn it over to God. Release it. And I didn't know. I'm like, how do you do that? What does that mean? Let it go. How? And it's like just having the faith that no matter what happens, it's not a matter of what if X, Y, and Z happens. It's even if it happens, I'm gonna be okay. So it's been over a year now that I've been coming to Gold Creek, and for a while I've seen people go through the live baptisms in person, and Dan has also called out at the end of service, is there anyone else? Is there anyone else who has not, who wasn't planning on it today but wants to do that? And I think every service I've been in, someone has actually stood up from the crowd, and he's like, now when someone stands up, you know what we do, we cheer for them, we go all out and we cheer. I've wanted to be that person, but then I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna be wet. All these excuses come into your mind, right? And it's like, it's that test of faith. You constantly get tested on, do you really believe? Are you really in this? Do you really believe that I can do what I say I'm going to do for your life? So I knew someday you'll get that courage, right? Someday you'll be ready. And I was sitting in service, and they announced that the live baptisms were coming. They were talking about Easter service and what the service was gonna bring, and the week after Easter that they were gonna do the baptisms, and it happened to be April 28th. That was the message that I needed to hear that day, because that, to me, God was speaking to me in that moment, saying, this is your time. This is what you've been waiting for. My dad was murdered 24 years ago on April 28th. And that's been something in my history that has been so painful and so hard on my heart, and completely changed my family as a child. I was a teenager, and I can remember that day to the tiniest detail. Just because something bad happens doesn't mean that God isn't with you. He doesn't promise a life full of all joy and no pain. He promises he's going to take you through that pain and be there on the other side of it. I hadn't ever really dealt with the pain of my father's murder. I kind of kept it bottled down because I felt as a child, my mom was going through enough. You know, she had us to take care of, and so I had to be strong. And so I thought being strong meant not letting people see that you were hurting, but that's not it at all. And it has taken me a long time to realize that. You don't have to be held hostage to the bad things that have happened. He's got your back, you know, no matter what's gonna happen. He's got your back, because he's been there before and he's paved the way for you. So that's what I hold on to now. I'm glad that I chose to step outside of my anxiety and fear and walk through those doors that day in October with 4 teeny tiny children running all over the place. But I can't Now that I've made that, I can't imagine a life without that. My name is Megan, and this is my God Can story.